Lance Morgan is unique in so many ways because if you hear a name that people said, I wish we could clone him, I wish we could put him on every reservation, and we would have a much better opportunity for Native Americans all over this country.
The Governor Johans once came to our office. We're going to talk a little bit about a town we're building, and he said, what can we do to help? And I said, frankly, guys, if you just leave us alone, it would be very helpful, I think, because we're on to something in our world in terms of providing for ourselves. We realized a long time ago that people aren't going to come to our rescue. In order to do one thing, we have to do everything. We thought if we just fought poverty, it would work, but we still need a house. You still need a good home life. You still need a good job. You still need education. So our problems are super complex in our world, and there's not a magic bullet. It's just hard work and doing as many things as possible. And sometime this year, I think we're going to cross $3 billion in cumulative revenue. Now, if you haven't been through Winnebago, there's a sign that says 798 people, and I think there's really about 2,000 people in the area. And you're talking about an international corporation with hundreds of millions of dollars plopped in the middle of a rural Nebraska town that didn't have any history of business success whatsoever. And so you're talking about an environment that's changing dramatically in our community. One of the things we did just we bought a housing and manufacturing company. We bought the bank. We started the used car company. We built the town from scratch. One of the things the tribe challenged, and by challenged I meant said I had to do it, was to build 200 houses in 5 years. I said, what? So we decided to do 100 houses in 5 years. This is a small community, and build the infrastructure for another 100 more. We have built 57 of them already in 2 years. The cost of that is going to be around $20 million. The tribe has committed 6% of our profits to that. Now, the tribe gets a dividend from Ho-Chunk Inc. every year, 20%. 1/3 of that goes back in. So it works out to about 6% of the profits. And so this is a company that is directly investing 6% of its income directly into housing. Now the rest of the money goes into social programs or to redeveloping the company. We do this because we often don't have tax revenues. That's some of the stuff that gets me in trouble with the state. We try to have taxes. Right now we give 25% of our gas tax, which is race neutral, to the state of Nebraska. Tobacco is a little bit more controversial. We have our own factory. If you have your own factory, you don't have, if you do value added under the Supreme Court and Nebraska Attorney General, you don't have to pay taxes. So we're a little surprised sometimes what happens to us, but we'll work that out. We also, here's what's crazy, is we give a giant down payment assistance program to people. It's funded by our profits and by our gas tax money that we've been able to develop. We had people with jobs but no savings. We had a real valuation problem. The houses in our neighboring town you can buy for $10,000 to $20,000. How are you going to build a $200,000 house and get an appraisal on it and get a down payment of? You'd have to put a down payment of $100,000 to $120,000 on that house to get it viable. So we wanted to jumpstart the housing market. So the tribe a few years ago made the commitment to take large amounts of money, $1 million of our profits. And the next 20 people get $50,000 for down payment assistance. We already had a $15,000 program, and this is not income restricted. It's not for poor people only. The reservation is filled with houses that are owned by the federal government, and so it's all low income. We wanted to develop a middle class in our community because that's who demands more from the schools, that's who helps run the community, that's what creates higher expectations. And so our tribe has committed huge amounts of its liquid capital into building up a solid base in its community. This was an empty field 10 years ago. And you notice that we're doing it diabetes is a major problem for us. And so everything we've done in this community is designed to be a new urbanism style walkable community with sidewalks, all these pedestrian barriers, the trees, the bushes, the parallel parking. We've built this sort of Main Street environment that's designed to really create an opportunity. And Winnebago has won 5 Harvard Honoring Nations Award for innovations in tribal government, and one of them was for the Community Development Fund. That 1 penny of our gas tax, no, it's 1/3 of our tobacco tax. The tobacco tax that causes us trouble sometimes goes into a fund. And anybody in our town, anybody with a good idea for community betterment, community beautification, endowment, can apply for money, and we will provide 50% of the matching grant. So we provided 50% of the cost along with the infrastructure of this project. And I think, and we've done that for 30-some projects in our community. This is an example of us having our own ability to tax and setting up not a particular thing, but a system that allows good ideas to bubble up in our world. We're trying to kickstart what everybody else takes for granted in this country on our reservation. Here's just another home. We sell the houses at cost from our factory, and we put them up at absolute cost. We're a major developer in the Sioux City region. We sold one house for $140,000 in Winnebago recently. It sold in Sioux City, 20 miles away, for $248,000. So we give away the lot. We sell them at cost. We give $65,000 down payment assistance. We do everything we can, as long as you can get that loan for the rest, which means you got a job or probably got educated, and then it's the epitome of sort of the helping hand in our environment. And we bought the 40 acres to the north of the Ho-Chunk Village. This is the current Ho-Chunk Village. We bought the 40 acres here, but the tribe owns most of the 80 behind it. And so we hired HDR, who originally designed our project. They designed Exarban too, the same guy, Doug Bassan. And I'll show you another project they designed. We just won the Regional Planning Award in South Sioux City, Nebraska for a 200-acre project there. We won 2 awards there for that project. But we're going to extend the commercial area, apartments, housing, parks, and then we'll have these beautiful housing lots on sort of a rolling hill in the background. So this will set us up for the next 20, 25 years for our community. So Winnebago should maybe even double in size within the next 20 years. This is what we do in Sioux City and South Sioux City and Dakota Dunes, South Dakota. We're right in the corner where Iowa, Nebraska is. This project's in Sioux City. It's an older building right downtown. These are condos, office buildings. This is the Ho-Chunk Center, the largest building in Sioux City. Somebody once said, we're not going to like a Ho-Chunk word, an Indian word on our skyline. I said, you've got to be kidding me, it's Sioux City, Iowa. So, this is Flatwater. Nebraska means flat water in Oto, so we kind of like that. And that's the 200-acre project we're building. That's right here. That's in South Sioux City. And across the street, it was a pork plant that really smelled bad, and they took it away. And that created an opportunity and so we bought all of this land, a mile of riverfront and 200 acres in total. And we are building houses on it right now in cooperation with the city of South Sioux City. And I think we're trying to work with that one housing program that the new one that Nebraska has. We're trying to get on the list to do that. But this gives you a sense of the Winnebago tribe. Its success is spilling over into the other regions. And this is from one of our leaders, and Ho-Chunk Inc. is really dedicated. Our building is to Reuben Snake, one of our famous tribal leaders from the past, and a relative of mine. And this is just a quote from one of his books. When you put these footprints down, be very careful because your children are going to follow along. And I think that has a lot of meanings for everybody here as well as in our world.